Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another episode of our Tactical Breakdown Report Series. Our series where we look at players that are on loan from the Gunners this season, and in this show specifically, we're talking all about William Saliba. We've not done one of these shows in a little while. We usually do them every month, but because of the chaos of the transfer window, or the lack of chaos in regards to Arsenal, we decided to postpone it and do like a winter update, if you will. I'm joined as always by Ben from the Marseille View. How you doing, mate? You good?
Yeah, good. Happy to be back. Happy to debrief. It's actually interesting now because we did these at the start of the season and we were like, yeah, his stats look incredible, but we have to wait. And now we're halfway through the season, so it's interesting.
Yes, and you've been out as well to Marseille in this time. And you've been to watch them.
I was at the OM Angers game a week ago on Friday, so I got to witness him making a huge mistake in the goal, literally at the end. I was. And then boss it for the rest of the game after that.
Yeah, and that's weirdly kind of a good summary of kind of the winter for Saliba. Is a mistake, but overall, you would, besides the mistake or a couple of mistakes in games, a really solid performance. Just of those 12 fixtures, just looking back, we go back all the way to the 9th of December. Was the last match that we hadn't covered, a 1-0 win over Lokomotiv Moscow in the Europa League, which I think was enough to send you to the Conference League. Is that right?
It is. That game? Yeah. So playing, is it FK Karabag or someone on Thursday?
Yeah, sounds very Conference League-y. That does. Marseille, I say that joking. We couldn't even qualify for that. So, you know, Marseille then beat Strasbourg 2-0, 1-1 draw with Rennes, and then a 3-0 win in the Coupe de France against, is it Chauvigny?
Chauvigny, yeah, close enough.
Oh, pretty good. Then a 1-0 win over Bordeaux, a 1-1 with Lille, a 2-0 win over Lens, a 1-1 with Montpellier, and then the famous 2-1 loss to Lyon, in which Saliba was famously turned by Moussa Dembele in those moments. And, you know, we had a discussion, I remember that evening, where you said that, we'll get to it in more detail, but you said you should have just taken him out, taken the red card. I was a little bit more conservative about it, saying, maybe you could have just played him offside. But, you know, then a really interesting 5-2 win over Angers. That was the game that you were obviously at. You could have, I mean, of all the, ironically, we talk about, and the games after that, the 4-1 win over, the 4-1 loss to Nice, and then the 2-1 win over Metz. Interestingly, like at the start of the season, we were talking about kind of the chaos of Jorge Sampaoli and the 3-3-3-1 and a very open attacking team. But actually, weirdly, in the winter months anyway, it's been a little bit more cagey, besides the games, obviously, that you went to see and the defeat to Nice as well. So overall, before we get into kind of the nitty-gritty stats and stuff, how has it been for Marseille and Saliba these last couple of months?
So we've looked better attacking wise. Defensively, we've still got one of the best records in Europe, although we were second best behind City. I think we're now 5th or 6th best because we've taken a couple of hiding recently. It has to be noted overall when we're focusing on Saliba that in the 3 games that he's made mistakes, I'd say crucial mistakes, he's played not in the usual position that he plays in the Sampaoli system. And also Marseille haven't played in the usual system that we've played. For some reason, Sampaoli's changed it. So notably against Nice, he played right back in a 4-4-2 for some reason, which we were all fucking furious about before the game. We were like, what are you doing? Putting our best centre-back at right back. But anyway, against Angers, again, he played in 4-4-2 and he made a mistake in the build-up to their first goal where he got caught in possession through a sort of just taking too much time on the ball, really, at the back when he defensive midfielder Gerson passed it back to him, got caught and then tracked back and looked a bit lost in the area, but after that had a solid game. And then against Lyon, interestingly, he was for once at the bottom of the back three. So he was the last man in that back three, which he hasn't been all season, really, apart from 1 or 2 games. And it led to him making that crucial mistake. As you say, you watch the highlights, he could have and should have maybe stepped up. But the minute you get caught, just take him down, man. Take him down.
You can tell you're an Arsenal fan as well. You're a fan of red cards. But
well, no, we haven't had many, but it's like just take him out. But anyway, look, apart from those 3 mistakes, he's when I think back on the number of games that you've described, but also I think we played 6 games in January or something. He's just been voted our player of the month for the 3rd time of the season, and Saliba is solid. I think it's a bit harsh because a lot of people will judge him and look at those highlights and go where he's made those mistakes that have cost us goals, unfortunately, and go, oh yeah, too tender for the Premier League. He's making these mistakes in the French league, but actually, we're all still looking at it, Marseille fans and Ligue 1 fans in general, going, you know what? He's definitely still saves us more goals than he's cost us, and. Whether that's been him tracking back, making last-ditch tackles, whether that's been him, it's just his strength. I don't think I've seen him get beat one-on-one apart by Dembele, and it was a bit of a scuff anyway. But he's as solid as he's ever been.
Let's go into the statistics and get a little bit more of a breakdown on what they're looking like. We start, as always, with the defensive side of things. Now, just for those that are new to the channel, because we've had a lot of people newly subscribe throughout the winter months as we covered the transfer window, we do these shows, or we did do these shows every month besides the month of January, where there was a lot of more stuff to be talking about beyond the loan reports. And the arrows basically indicate where the statistics have followed based upon where he was at the last time we covered. So this is 12 games on from the last report. So in terms of his duels, he's improving in the frequency of duels and in the success rate of them as well, going up to 72.4% win rate, which is really strong for a centre-back, especially one that's as dynamic as Saliba. Aerial duels as well have gone up in regards to the amount that he's winning, 50.7%. He's not getting involved in as many, only 2.2 per game. I think that went down from 2.8 per game, but he's winning more of them at 50.7%, breaking over that average barrier of 50%. Less interceptions this month. In terms of losses, he's lost a couple more balls, which I think have been representative in some of the mistakes that have been made in the last 2 months. But less of those losses are happening in his own half, but still 47.2% is quite high for the amount of losses being made in your own half. Recoveries, though, have both gone up. 8.82 is up on December, as is the percentage of those happening in the opposition half, now 20.6%, which is, considering the fact that when you break that down, that's about 2 recoveries happening in the opposition half for a centre-back per game. It's mad. That is mental, really.
It's just, I mean, because we play so high and it's a back three. So since January, we've been set up in much more of a sort of control approach. So retain possession. The centre backs almost every game spend at least 30 minutes when we're in possession in the opposition half, and it just highlights the quality of his contribution when you see that. Not only is it obviously recovering 20% of those balls in the opposition half, but the situations 90% of the time when he recovers those balls, the strikers coming one-on-one, the opposition team is setting up for a counter-attack, and he can't afford to not win that duel. So he goes for it, gets the ball, often gets it cleanly, and then contributes to the build-up. I mean, we'll see it when we go to his attacking stats, but his long passing and his passing in the opposition half, I'm sure, have gone up. But he's just, his quality, his vision, and his understanding of that system of a back three. He's come leaps and bounds, but he is the main piece of that back three. And you can tell. I mean, against Nice when he played out of position, you could tell straight away how easily they were cutting through us in the middle of the defense, and it's just like, just put him back in the middle.
It was interesting. How much of that game was played? I'm just trying to work out now from using Wisecout how much he actually played at right back. Just clicking onto this, it was 47 minutes that he played. It says 47 minutes, so unless that's wrong.
Oh no, he did switch him. He did switch him. Yeah, he did switch him back into. But by then the damage was done. We were 3-1 down. But it's his quality, his duels, and his reading of the game. When it comes to the breakdown, as in the opposition team recovers the ball, he's got to make a quick split decision. Apart from the game against Lyon, that whole back three system, they're so well drilled at the offside trap and stepping up at the right time, and just choking the sort of opposition midfields and contributing to the press. So, if you were to imagine Arsenal staying in a back three next year, for example, or playing that occasionally, you'd like to think, if you're Arteta, you're looking at this going, Jesus Christ, he gets it. He's going to come back and slot right in there because he's been drilled with a similar system, and that was probably contributed to one of the reasons when they decided, we'll let him go to Marseille, because you know what, he's going to go to a sort of coaching academy with Jorge Sampaoli, where he's going to learn about this position and this system. So it's very beneficial for him.
Let's go on to the passing statistics. In regards to the frequency of the amount of passes he's doing, they've definitely gone up. Now, the reason why you shouldn't be alarmed at the red arrows saying that the accuracy has gone down is because, as we laid out at the beginning of the season, if you watch our first loan report that we did on Saliba, he was in the 100% for pass accuracy. So don't be put off by seeing those red arrows, because he was passing was ridiculously accurate at the start of the season, and it was always going to go down and start averaging out. But it's still high. Passing in general, 93.8% passing accuracy, and he's attempting more passes with 78.52 on average happening per game. Long passes, he's attempting more of those as well with a 56.5% accuracy. Also still a very good accurate statistic for a centre-back in his long passing. More than 1 in 2 passes hitting the mark. Passes into the final third, 8.85, which if you look across centre-backs across Europe, how many are putting that many passes into the final third? It's not close to that. He is in the upper echelons of percentiles for the frequency of passes. And then when you think about 85.8% of those reach the target, again, a ridiculously high stat. And passes into the box has gone up too, 0.76. He's nearly averaging a pass into the box as centre-back per game, which is, again, silly. And then when you see the fact that 50% of those are also hitting the target, really good. These last couple of months, he's got more adventurous with his passing, hasn't he?
He definitely has, and he's had to, because we switched. So January was a bit more of a control setup, but since then we've seen some games, notably that 5-2 against Angers. He that was probably did his stats on that game alone, because he was just spraying the ball from centre back. Because he was less in this role where he had the freedom or liberty to sort of run forward in possession. When he was playing as a 4-4-2 centre back, his role was you've got to stick to your position because you are one of 2 men left, but you've also got the midfields dropping a bit deeper, and we played with 2 strikers, which enabled him to spray it sort of towards the wings and try and couple of balls over the top.
Yeah, 8 out of 9 passes in the final third reached the target in that game.
Yeah, it's just look, he's a great player. He's got great vision. If you were to look at these attacking stats, like just this sheet, you'd go, he must be in the top 10 in Europe, maybe top 5 in terms of the high numbers and the attempts. It's just the defensive side is the only criticism, where not criticism, but the only weaknesses you can see are sometimes this positional awareness. Notably on set pieces, he's cost us a couple of times by not following his runner. But it's just that's coaching. That's experience. It's experience.
Yeah, he's 20. Like the fact that we're talking about him with such kind of high regard, and we were critiquing quite highly because he puts himself into these brackets of top quality centre backs that are beyond his years. And people may say it's unfair to start judging him or critiquing him on these things at 20. But look, he's going to come into the Arsenal team next season, fingers crossed. From my perspective, anyway. And
you want to keep him?
Yes, yeah. I mean, I'm going to ask you at the end regarding kind of the other thing, the big thing that's happened in the last couple of months since we last spoke is the transfer ban story, which we'll come on to shortly. Just to briefly wrap up the stats, though, in regards to stylistically, his dribbles have gone down in terms of their success rate and their frequency. But as we just discussed, his passing's gone up. So he may not be coming out of the back with the ball as much, but his passing's kind of taken over from that. So I think that's kind of balanced out. Progressive runs, though, ironically, have gone up to 1.48 per game, and touch in the box have also gone up to 0.83. That goal's still eluding him, though. Still can't quite get on the end of the header in the box.
Against Lille at home, like I think it was mid-January, I think it was 82nd minute, he gets into the area, gets around the keeper, shoots sort of half crosses it, scuffs it towards the goal, hits one Lille player, hits the other, goes off the bar and goes out somehow. And it was just like, he's just never going to score. But he's just making the runs. He is a danger for when he does participate and join up, because we don't play with fixed right back, we play or left back. We play with sort of these inverted wingers that cut in and try and cover the whole corridor, but also try and cut in when we're out of possession. You regularly see him overlapping and stuff. And you just go, mate, like, how have you got the energy to then get back in defence? And then some chances you'll see, actions and highlights. You actually see him then get back and be the first man to break down the opposition attack, because he's done the backtracking, but he's also kept an eye on the game, and he's just slotted into the right position at the right time to block the attacking player from breaking free. So, look, I hope. Look, we're hoping he stays, but it's probably a pipe dream at this stage because we have a transfer ban that's likely to be like Chelsea and City's was. We'll probably take being forced after the summer, but I don't. Regardless of that, there are other areas of the team we need to strengthen, and I think likely if there is a possibility of Marseille keeping him, it's probably a loan extension. But I do wonder that if Arsenal, get top 4 somehow, or even just get top 5, top 6, get European football, they're going to need a bigger squad anyway.
Yeah.
I think I'm just reading in the comments on the right to answer the question. He's wasted at right back. He can't play at right back. I just think with his positional awareness and just the way he even though we see the stats on the progressive runs and the forward pass. He'd be wasted at right back because he's not as good as a natural right back. He hasn't got.
Do you think though, when you consider who Arsenal are playing at right back, Tomiyasu, who is a centre back by trade, like that's where he played. Well, maybe not by trade, but he's played plenty of games centre back, and Arteta kind of uses the right back role in a bit of a centre back right back hybrid. And I weirdly look at Saliba, and I looked at the game that he played at right back. Where he played the second half, I think it was. I'm just trying to remember what the game. I think it was against Metz in a 0-0. He played at right back for 44 minutes of the game, and he was good. Like I thought he played really well in that game when he was put in that position. So, do you not think those traits maybe lean him towards a suitable Arsenal-style right back rather than a traditional right back position?
It's hard to say because Metz are 19th in the league, so I think that probably answers your question in terms of context. No, look, Tomiyasu's done a brilliant job at Arsenal. He's slotted in. I don't think many people had such high expectations, or were he's bluffed a bit of all of us really, and he's been consistent. I just think Saliba at centre back. In the Premier League, with his pace, with his reading of the game, he's just got it. I think he's got it all, and it'd be a waste to not put him at centre back. And from a system point of view, if you're playing free at the back, then he can cover the right back, sort of half right back role as well, the way he's doing at Marseille now. So, yeah, he'd be wasted. I'd keep him as centre back definitely.
Brief word on Guendouzi and how he's getting. I know that I think someone in the chat box, Aaron, I think it was asking for a brief update on how he's got on, even though he's not returning. But ask, can we get a little Guendouzi report as well?
So he's been good all season as well. But when I'd looked at his stats the other day, I was really impressed. I think he's got 6 or 7 assists, 4 goals, which is more than he's managed anywhere else up to now in his career. When he went off against Angers, Payet went off against Angers. I was in the stands. He gave Guendouzi the armband. I was like, yes, my man. I think a lot of us, he's matured, but I think he needed the right environment and the right manager to sort of say, look, I know you're a character, but keep your fucking head down, or I'll kick you, and transfer that energy onto the pitch and be that sort of
He's the perfect manager really for him, isn't he?
Yeah, he needs a sort of an old school manager, a bit of a Fergie or someone like that would have gotten really really a lot more out of him than one of these new style managers that probably doesn't respect as much and probably doesn't have the same approach as those guys did. He's a bit of an old school player, so he's done really well. He is the dynamo and sort of one of the main playmakers of our team, and I'd love with Boubacar Kamara going next season, who was probably our natural. Heartfelt choice, one of our own from the academy to be our captain. He's leaving on a free this summer. I'd like to think Guendouzi's going to take his place in our hearts as that adoptive French youngster, one of our own. But he seems to be really enjoying it, and we're really enjoying it. And I hope he stays consistent because he's been really impressive in the French league.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think it will be a regret of. It's a really difficult one from an Arsenal perspective.
I don't think he's suited to the Premier League, to be honest.
No, but the thing is, he's clearly got bundles of talent. The problem was with Arsenal, it was kind of the wrong club at the wrong time for him, and maybe the wrong manager at the wrong time as well. That just wasn't ready to take. He started
really brightly, didn't he?
Under Unai Emery, he absolutely did. But Arteta took over in end of 2019. There was an issue in a warm weather camp in the Middle East, I think, behind the scenes, details of which never really surfaced, but it was made known that there was issues there. We then had the famous Brighton game where he strangled Neil Maupay at the end of the match. There was and then there was things that went on behind the scenes after that game. He was given reportedly numerous opportunities to apologise and chose not to, as you know, you would.
A young 20-year-old superstar player, overpaid at his age, different country. You know, there's hundreds of players you can say the same. They started off like young pricks, and then suddenly they either make it or they fail, and he's made it so far. We'll see. Yeah.
We went to Hertha Berlin where things didn't go particularly well either. Like, he was criticised by the coach for not reaching puberty, I think one of the comments was. But did improve towards the end of that time there, and that has definitely led on to the success that he's seeing with 4 goals. And I've just checked 7 assists this season. So 11 goal contributions this season so far, which, I mean, if you're thinking about, we're just past the halfway point, you're looking at getting nearly 20 goal contributions across an entire season this year, which for a 21-year-old central midfielder playing in Liga for a club like Marseille, you know, who aren't scoring bundles of goals at the moment, to be fair. I mean, the last few games we've seen in the Angers game, the 5-2, was a bit of an anomaly in regards to the number of goals that are being scored, but the fact that he's contributing so much is impressive. Well, I wish him the absolute best and hope he turns things around. I think
Aaron in the chat's hit it on the head. Yeah, he's got it. I wish it could work for Guendouzi. Brilliant baller. Yeah, he's got it. You've nailed it, Aaron. It's just the wrong place at the wrong age with the wrong manager, and sometimes that happens in football.
Yeah. That's interesting. Mikey is really passionately asking you, why does Ben say he's not suited to the Prem? I'd like to know. He needs an answer.
He's I don't think he's suited to the. Well, okay, I'll change my statement.
That's fine.
I don't think he's suited to the Prem in the Arsenal team he was in, or the current one, just because of his profile and because the volume at which he's being asked and expected to take the possession of the ball, play it, make runs, get into the box, etc. That in the Premier League, but notably at Arsenal, without a sort of solid defensive midfielder or midfield partner, I think he'd get slated for costing goals, losing possession, being sloppy. He does have a tendency to get frustrated, but I think we see that trait less of him because we're not often playing in situations where we don't have possession of the ball and he's got to chase it down and do all that extra work. But I think in a team like Arsenal, when you do play better teams almost every second week, and I say better teams, I mean you're playing the likes of City, you're playing the likes of Chelsea teams that are just better drilled collectively maybe at this point in time, then I think Arsenal will probably be there in 18 months, 2 years, when the squad's gelled properly and a few players have grown up, like Lokonga, for example. I just think Guendouzi's style at an Arsenal team that isn't as compact and defensively solid as a Chelsea.
Two all guns blazing, basically. Yeah. I agree. I think that's a really solid point, and I think that the discipline that Arteta demands from all of his players, it just wouldn't have meshed.
The self-discipline is the problem. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Ben, thank you so much, mate, as always, for coming on the show. I look forward to catch up with you next month for the next update on Saliba. Tell people where they can find you and what you're going to be up to.
Guys, if you have any questions, Ben, add the Marseille View on Twitter. Just send us, DM or tweet us, and I'm happy to answer. That's it, really.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us. We're happy to join, and you guys enjoy watching Saliba ball out for another few months. We certainly will.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be so interesting in the summer what actually happens with Saliba. From my perspective and from the understanding from my side of things is that the intention is for him to return. His intention still is very much to return and fight for that spot. And now, with the way in which Arteta wants a ball-playing centre-back and for him to fight and the depth that we're going to need playing in Europe, fingers crossed, next season, he's going to be a real asset. Thank you, Ben, again. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks,
listeners, if you've enjoyed the show, listeners, please do drop a like on the video and subscribe to the Gooner Talk as well to get the next updates a little bit later on in the week. Probably tomorrow, actually, we'll be doing our next Arsenal youth update with Kev from Next Generation Arsenal, so make sure you tune in tomorrow evening for that one. And then we'll be entering into the realms of following Balogun's loan at Middlesbrough, which is also going very, very well. A couple of assists, a back-heeled assist the other day, in fact. So if you haven't already checked that one out, please make sure you do. Drop a like on the video, subscribe if you're new, and as always, up the Arsenal.